All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of List Night Podcast. If you are watching the video pod right now, you'll see that we're joined by a new face. We've got Matt Ferentinos on the pod with us this week.
What up?
We've been trying to get him on, since we started this, but none of us are particularly great at aligning our schedules. I'm going to pin a little bit more blame on Matt than I do on the rest of us, even though he's probably been the one who was most available, and it is probably entirely our fault. We're going to be doing Protagonists this week. And I say it every week, and every week they tell me I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. We did not set rules on this one. They don't need to be fictional. They don't need to be real. They can be whatever you think a protagonist is. They can show up on this list. Our order for this week is going to be Thomas. It's going to be Andrew, then Matt, and then myself. And as always, if you're watching us on YouTube or following us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything like that, make sure you hit the follow button, the subscribe button, the like button, whatever button there is there to make sure that you're in the loop about any of our pods coming out, or to help ensure that people are able to see or listen to the pod. Just go click that button. It takes 30 seconds at most to go do it on every single platform. Rate and review. There's options. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Send it to the sibling you haven't talked to in a couple of years. You got options.
This is the thing that's going to bring families back together.
yeah. I think this night is going to bring families back together, keeping friends together, and it could bring families back together. But if it doesn't, please don't tell us because we don't want to hear about it.
Maybe like back together on an island or something like that.
yeah.
See,
maybe a family vacation on an island.
Because to me, list night's about spreading people apart. Putting space between us with different opinions. Me telling you dumb. Me being different. So I don't believe we're bringing people together.
I get where you're coming from, but I will say, we're 14, 15 episodes into this, just of the normal episodes, not even counting the quick list or the collab list or anything like that. And pretty much every single week outside of the food lists, we have just bullied the hell out of each other. And we keep coming back. We keep coming back for more. So there's something about list night that brings the people together. Maybe we just can't find other people. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the four of us are used to doing that our whole lives, basically bullying each other and being okay with it. But like once we bring on a guest who's not used to that, they're going to hate us and more importantly, hate themselves after being on.
I like that you said and being used to it and being okay with it. I think we all have a severe amount of emotional trauma that is going to come out when we're parents, but that's future us problem. That's not a current us problem.
For now, fuck it, whatever.
That's not our problem. That's the kids' problems.
I can't wait to throw away some participation trophies.
As I've gotten older, I started to realize that just pass the buck.
Yeah. It's the next generation's problem. Whatever we have to deal with, it's not our fault. It's their fault.
Like Beyonce said, it's in a box to the left.
Is that what that
all right,
about?
I'm ready.
Thomas Albert, renowned for his quoting of Beyonce. All right,
So,
Thomas,
I'll
you're gonna get us going. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Because I'm a funny, unique, smart, genuine guy, I decided to give myself a theme this week. Instead of protagonist, it's antagonist. No, I'm just kidding. I was
about to be livid.
decided to go all animated characters for my protagonist, just because
Nice.
I started thinking of a bunch, and I was like, let's go with this. So
Yeah, you're gonna get Matt a little bit too excited.
nothing like that. Actually, I now feel a little bad because they are all males on my list. So
Wow.
I'm a sexist. Okay, number 5 is Cody Maverick. And for those of you who don't know who Cody Maverick is, he is considered the greatest surfing penguin to possibly ever live, at least in the top 3. But he is the main character in Surf's Up. So
Okay.
because it's an amazing movie.
Yeah. You say he's at least top 3. Do you know the other 2 people in the top 3? Or are you just assuming historically there's got to be other guys?
Big Z, the legend who taught him, right, and also his girlfriend, Big Z's niece, who I don't remember her name because I haven't seen the movie.
That's weird. It's weird that you know all the male characters, right? You don't know the chick character.
I had to look Cody's name up. I'm not gonna lie,
Okay.
but I will probably watch this movie in the next day or two because it is a phenomenal movie. And he teaches me to follow your dreams, to leave cold places for tropical islands, and to be a cool dude and surf. So, Cody Maverick.
I do enjoy Surf's Up. That is a fantastic movie.
Matt,
might
I'm
actually
so
watch it
happy
in the
you're
next
here
few days,
today.
too.
I haven't told you. I'm so happy.
I'm
you're
happy to be
today.
here, Thomas. Happy to be here.
I agree. The movie's great. I don't think I've watched it since it was in theaters, but I remember it being fantastic and saying for like 10 years, I should watch that movie again, and never have. But the movie's good. The pick is stupid because it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Like you
Stupid
had to
because it's dumb.
you had to look up the character's name. I'll put it that way. It's in your top 5 protagonists of all time, and you had to look up the character's name.
It is not in my top 5 protagonists of all time because that's not the criteria.
Top 5 animated protagonists of all time. That is the
Also,
criteria, but it's not your criteria.
You set for yourself.
We rewind the tape, and all Griffin said is we're doing protagonists.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
over here with your
So this is just 5. You're just doing 5 protagonists.
5 random.
And if you're not going to make
protagonists.
rules, I'm not going to follow them.
Well, when you started off by saying I chose not to do protagonists, I thought you were going to say like I chose to do cookies or something. Like you were just going to do something completely different.
Fuck, I do love cookies.
Every week we go through this where you guys wonder why I win so often. And it's probably because of things like this, where rather than doing a top 5, you're just going to give us 5 miscellaneous animated, again, a criteria you set for yourself, protagonists. Which,
Hey.
I mean, you might win. People that might connect with the audience. Who knows?
Cody Maverick is a cool character. I enjoy the movie. I want to promote the movie. You can get it at Redbox right now, online or at one
I
of
like
the
this ad.
boxes. You do you.
Oh yeah, we're a big Redbox team,
Redbox.
guys. Make sure you go to Redbox. It's only $1 a night. I don't know if that's still the price, but probably.
Yeah. I mean, who needs
Redbox.
streaming services or your friends' streaming services? You just go to Redbox.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's just down the street, maybe, and you pick up a DVD or a Blu-ray,
Yeah.
and maybe you don't return it. Whatever.
Gotta love your
you can-
physical
you can-
copies.
You
What are
can
they gonna
stream
do?
Redbox
Keep
now,
charging
guys.
you?
You can stream Redbox stuff, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, anyway, 5, great pick. Not the best pick because I have 4 more that are above it. Number 4 is my main man, Little Mac from Punch-Out, because he taught me how to persevere, how to overcome some insane, unrealistic characters, and probably ruined my eyes playing the game too much, but good times.
Do you use that in life a lot? Overcoming unrealistic
Oh.
characters.
You have no idea the people I've met.
I would argue he does.
That's true. You probably do. No, Lil Mac's a cool video game character. He's not necessarily the first one people think of in terms of, when
Mike
you think
Tyson's
video game
Punch-Out.
protagonist.
So I'm just
Maybe
I'm gonna get ahead on this question a little bit. I'm just gonna ask you. You don't have to answer it, but not answering it's gonna answer it for me. Are these characters in the lessons they teach you like parental figures that you looked at because of trouble with your father or something like that? Because they seem like they're teaching you a lot of lessons.
No, so here's the thing. Unlike you, great relationship with my dad. But
Okay.
also, like you, a lot of weird things going on. Like probably could be more adjusted than I am, but
Sure. Yeah. Who among us couldn't be?
No, Punch-Out's a great game, and I do think Lil Mac's a great character. And nowadays the characters in games, there's bigger stories, and because they're able to do bigger stories, there's more background and everything. But for the time, Lil Mac was he was an easy character to be like, yeah, I'm playing as him. Like it wasn't like a Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter where you got to choose and there was differences. It was just like, hey, here's this little dude who's gonna beat up bigger dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, so as a little dude that likes to beat up bigger dudes, and as a man that had a great modded PSP, shout out to Rob for that. I did play Punch-Out a lot, and so I'm gonna say Thomas 2 for 2 on your picks, even though figuring out how this works. I know we're supposed to talk shit about other people's lists, but that's just how I'm feeling.
I told you guys.
Just a beacon of positivity.
Hey Matt, I don't think I told you this, but I'm really happy you're here today, man.
Happy to be here.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that you're 2 for 2 on your picks. The Surf's Up pick, it's a pick, but I do like the Little Mac pick. It's a good pick. He's a good protagonist. Kind of that like a generic character from video games back in the day where you didn't have a choice to select different options, so everybody was the same guy, and he kind of went through a gauntlet of tough opponents, and I guess he taught Thomas about perseverance and discipline or whatever it was that he said.
Thomas gives up all the time. I don't know. Like
yeah,
he hasn't taken
I don't know
that
how much Little Mac really taught him.
I didn't say the lesson stuck.
Yeah. You learned what those words meant, and you were like, "This is not for me."
Yeah, I'll say Little Mac is a lovable underdog. But you did touch on it. He doesn't have like too much of a driving story. Not a bad thing for a video game, just a bad thing for this list.
Yeah. He wants to be the very best there ever was. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know what he was fighting for. Maybe
he's
his
Ash Ketchum without Pokemon. He's the person who wants to be the world champ. He's Rocky before Rocky. Doesn't have a story.
He's definitely not Rocky before Rocky.
Yeah,
Rocky came out some time ago.
79, right?
Yeah, late 70s.
He's Rocky after Rocky. All right. Number 3. And I gotta be specific with this one because it is Robin Hood, but there are many iterations of Robin Hood. Sure. So I'm going with the Disney animated Fox Robin Hood.
Oh, of course.
Because he is, and excuse my language for this, the fucking man. And also like foxes are cool, so that's what's up.
That's what's up.
I have made a lot of money on the app Robin Hood, so another good pick.
This is turning into a podcast of like fun facts about Matt. He beats up big guys. He makes a lot of money. Wonder what we're gonna find out next.
Ladies, if you're listening, to the 5 ladies out there,
your dating profile is just gonna be this episode. Also, don't underrate our female fan base. Like 40% of our listeners are women. Maybe.
Matt, you gotta cut out the girlfriends and sisters of the podcast. So the one lady out there listening.
Pool's going down.
Cindy Queen out there listening. For anyone at home who doesn't know who that is, that's my mother.
Well, Griffin needs a new dad.
One dad would suffice.
Robin Hood. Average, a decent pick.
It is. And if you were gonna pick one, I would say either that one or what's the comedy one? Prince of Thieves?
Men in Tights.
Oh, Men in Tights.
Men in Tights. Yeah. Those are good options. The rest of them, whatever. Russell Crowe, whatever. Taron Egerton, whatever. But animated, give me some of that.
BBC had a good Robin Hood too.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard that. I have heard that.
Good show. Yeah, good show. All right. Going on to my next great pick, because you guys all agree that I'm going to win. I'm not going to win, and that's okay.
You're going to win. You're going to win our most recent one, though. I believe it. We haven't released the episode yet, but I believe you're going to win our most recent one.
Can't wait for you to win. Number 2 is the guy who taught me that it's okay to be ugly and not want anyone around and to live in squalor. And that is Shrek.
Squalor, not swamp. Interesting.
Well, if I said swamp, you know who I was talking about.
I knew who you meant originally.
How did you know?
I knew who you meant from the first 3 words.
When I said the guy had to be ugly,
I knew you meant Shrek.
What?
I mean, you picked the most attractive character. It's really not fair. Shrek is love. Shrek is life. I know you guys know what I'm talking about.
You think Shrek is better looking than Ogre Fiona? You are wrong. No, I mean, Shrek is, again,
2021
movie. Fair. Shrek is an amazing movie, but also as a character, you see his growth very well, and you see him both stand up for himself and in the end accept self-love and find true love. And he makes a cool donkey best friend.
And plus, I also saw
I said squalor, but his house is pretty legit.
So when Shrek takes the love potion in the second movie, he becomes a very attractive male. So ideally, to ogres, he's probably a very attractive ogre.
Matt, I'm so happy you're here today.
That's actually a good point. I've never thought about that.
That's a weirdly great point.
Are there any other ogres in the world besides Fiona? And she's only cursed to be.
Aren't his parents in one of them or something?
What did Shrek fuck before that?
I don't really
himself.
The mud.
Matt's here to ask the hard questions.
Yeah, the bog that he lived in.
Unintended, Thomas.
Oh no.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember what Shrek the Third is about, and I'm pretty sure there was at least one after that.
I think it's King Arthur. There's one with King Arthur in it, actually.
There is one.
I've only seen the first two, and I don't remember if there's any other ogres. But I mean, your point does make sense that he may be like the picture of perfection as an ogre, and even if that's not the case, even so, I guess he didn't teach you that it's okay to be ugly. He taught you that it's okay to be ugly.
I was going to say we're missing the point of the story.
Yeah, Shrek's a great pick. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not going to say a bad word against Shrek, because if I do, my girlfriend will break up with me and she will take the dog and leave, and I just can't have that.
And I'm not going to say a bad word about Shrek, because then I will be hypocritical in about 5 minutes.
Okay, no doubt.
Griffin, was it bad? I wanted to say that to happen again.
Oh, now I'm sad.
Okay. I wonder what Andrew meant by his comment. Okay, so my number one.
It's okay, moving on. I'm gonna put, after the pod is over, I'm gonna push that one down with Brown, and in 8 to 10 years, I'm gonna have some kids I'm gonna take it out on.
My number one is a protagonist who started off as a villain, became the hero, had some friends, had some family, traveled a lot, got a lot of things back, ate a lot of fruits. We get the fuck out of here.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong's my number one.
Wow.
Hey!
Get out of my head.
Man.
I absolutely love Donkey Kong. I had multiple Donkey Kong games growing up, and each one was phenomenal. And like I said, I mean, he starts off as a villain in the original games, trying to smash Mario. And then it's like, oh man, like he was just trying to hang out with Peach. Like, stop being such a
He was trying
Mario.
to smash Peach.
Hanging out.
I mean, who didn't?
Hanging out.
Mario was doing the same.
But no, I mean, Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong 64. 64 actually had like a good storyline for that time, and it was a huge world to live in, and you got to meet other Kongs. But Donkey Kong's the man. Plus, when he plays baseball, he just punches the ball.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
He has a dope tie, and he's always well used in Mario Kart. So solid.
You got a great rap song. Love a DK rap.
Oh yes,
great
leader of the bunch.
Yeah.
He's had video games, movies, a successful music career,
apparel,
movies, TV shows, apparel.
Yeah,
I always wanted a tie.
DK, the original big boy in the Nintendo Mario universe, and I mean, I agree, he's a good character. I don't even know if he's the most interesting character in his own games, though. Like in Donkey Kong Country games, I feel like once Diddy gets introduced and the rest of the Kongs,
well, to be fair, I mean, the criteria wasn't most interesting protagonist. It was, for Thomas, just protagonists.
Correct. All right.
He's not really a protagonist. He's kind of like a side character.
Yeah. You know what? I take back
protagonist.
I take back all criticisms. All 5 of your picks are indeed protagonists. Yes.
They are. That's true.
He is the name of the game. Yeah. Like,
I want to be mad at you about this, but like, this is what happens when we don't set rules. You just pick 5 generic protagonists.
Oh, I wouldn't say generic. I mean, what's generic about Donkey Kong? There's not other.
He's just a gorilla.
Like there's no King Kong.
There's Diddy Kong.
Or anything like that. Diddy Kong isn't even the same species. All right.
Which is confusing.
All right, so to recap my subpar list, we got number 5, Cody Maverick from Surf's Up. Number 4, Little Mac from Punch Out. Number 3, Robin Hood from the Disney animated movie Robin Hood. He's a fox in 2 ways. Number 2 is Shrek from Shrek. And number 1 is my main man, Donkey Kong, from a plethora of media. But yeah, that's my list.
From Nintendo?
Because you used the word plethora.
All right, plethora it is. Yeah, you just want to say plethora.
It's my word of the month, all right?
I mean, as it fits your criteria, perfect list. As it fits a top 5 criteria list, I guess we'll see. I don't think this is going to be a winning list because I don't think people are going to know specifically that your criteria is probably going to differ from the rest of ours. But hey, I mean, I guess we could have a really long caption about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to say Harry Potter, and I can be like, he sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cedric Diggory is the protagonist.
He
The
dies.
protagonist.
Spoiler alert.
So does
And
everyone.
it ends after book 4.
Oh man, my 4 and 5 are going to be not surprises here. So my
Cedric
criteria.
Diggory?
My criteria was also that they had to be protagonists, and I will say, also that they had to be good characters. Maybe not the 5 best, but good at least. So a step up from what Thomas.
Whoa! What character of mine is not a good character?
No. I meant like, well, I just mean that I didn't choose 5 random ones. I like they have to be towards. Yeah.
Do any of your characters steal from the rich and give it to the poor?
That is a pretty good thing.
Maybe
Because Harry Potter's just rich.
Maybe not literally.
And he does not
actually
give to the poor.
specifically will not give to the poor. He knows people that are the poor, and he openly chooses to not help them.
I guess he kind of does.
He'll just crash your car and get you in trouble
Beat
at
up
work.
by a chess piece.
Give 2 of your sons a lot of money to go open a joke
Well,
shop.
I have to edit my
One of your
list.
kids gonna die. One of your kids gonna be a werewolf. But it's okay. It's only exclusively my fault.
Let's cross this bridge. Let's cross this bridge when we get there. You fuckers. Because
all right, number 5. Let's get it.
Because my number 5, I think we can all agree is a great pick. Is Shrek.
That's a great pick.
He is very relatable.
It's a pick.
He can be a bit of a curmudgeon, but it's understandable because everyone hates him. He likes his space. He likes his alone time. But once he warms up, he's a good friend and he's romantic. He loves deeply. Shrek is a good story overall, about don't judge a book by its cover. Just a classic trope. He's courageous, hardworking, fearless. What's not to love about Shrek?
Damn.
You described Shrek or me?
Shrek. And then the last.
And also a little bit Andrew described himself there.
And then lastly, memeability.
There are some great memes.
That's true. As an Andrew criteria, memeability coming back again. Shrek is an incredibly memeable character, and the Shrek universe, due to him, is a memeable universe.
Yeah, good pick.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas can't bash on
John Thomas's list.
We already said so many positive things about the pick that I feel like it'd be weird if we kind of went against it now. But feel free to if you guys want to just bully him for this pick.
I do.
That's a terrible pick because it should be higher than 5.
The Lord Farquhar meme is probably the best one. Where some of you may die.
Some of you may
it is
die.
a sacrifice that I'm willing to make.
Yeah.
It's
You're
a
right.
very
Lord
modern.
Farquhar should be on the list.
All right. Now that everyone's all happy, my number 4 is Harry Potter. So
We all knew it was coming.
I will give Thomas and Griffin their time to flip out over this. All I will say about Harry Potter is that he is a courageous and selfless character. At the end of Deathly Hallows, he does sacrifice himself, and he is not the best at like magic and actually being a powerful character by traditional means, but he has a good conscience to do the right thing, and he's also a very good lens into the story that he's in. So like as a reader, he's a good person to see the world through because he's curious.
He's a bit of a git.
Yes.
Which is why, he has to be stupid because
Yeah.
it's like mystery novels. Yeah.
He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
He's not
He-
courageous.
he
He's
could be
just too
smarter.
dumb to know what's what, and he doesn't.
The thing is-
he doesn't have a good conscience. He's just too dumb to know good. And he's just dumb.
He could be.
To be honest,
less
how do you not take
intelligent.
advantage of
One of
being-
his best friends is less intelligent. Like he's a nice dividing line between like genius and functionally illiterate.
How do you not get Cho
Look.
Chang? How do you not get her? She threw herself at you. She's everything you want.
Well,
You're the chosen one, bro.
kind of
She
an
was-
interesting.
like, people were
interesting
trying to
part
sneak
of
a
his
love
life that goes
potion.
on.
She was
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
emotional and weepy. Who wants that?
Let's all be clear. If any
Harry's
of us were
emotional.
Harry Potter, if we were Harry
He did
Potter, we
make her
would have
wet,
done a better
though.
job at being Harry Potter. That's not up for debate. Of course, we would do better at it. Is
I'd
he
be
a bad
shitting
protagonist? No, I don't think he's a bad protagonist. Like, I'll shit on him all the time because it's fun to shit on Harry Potter because people get like mad salty about it. But I love Harry Potter, and he's like Andrew said, he's a good lens into the universe, especially as like the fish out of the water for the first few books, and then as he progressively learns more about the universe he's in, you know, you kind of learn with him, and you know more about what's going on with him, and he becomes a more fleshed out character. Again, he's still a bit of a git, but like, I'm not going to say it's a bad pick. Like, it's a good pick. He is one of the most famous protagonists in fiction for a reason.
So I agree with that. He's a good lens in the story. I don't think that makes him a good protagonist. I think that makes him a well-written character. You could say that.
It definitely makes him a protagonist, though.
Yeah.
He's definitely fits the criteria of your list.
No, he's not animated.
Oh, that's true. Well, you know, you play video games, animated.
Yeah,
Is he though? Because in the books he was animated before the movies came out.
Animated
They
is
were
not
on
the
the
word you
page.
want.
Drawing is not
Drawn. Drawn and animated.
He
Not
was
the same
drawn.
thing.
I mean, if you flip it back and forth like a
My
flip-a-rama, it's
favorite
animated.
animation was the Mona Lisa.
Harry Potter books did not have Flip-a-Rama that was in Captain Underpants, but it should have. That would have made it a lot better.
I would have less issues with this pick. Now, I really don't have like that. I'm just more sick of Harry Potter. But
Sure.
also like I've read the books and I love the books. The movies were all right. I just always found Harry so annoying. Just so annoying.
Yeah.
And that's why like I couldn't pick him as a protagonist. Like I understand he follows the arc, he follows everything that a protagonist would in the hero's journey and all that. I just, you know, if I met him, I kind of want to just slap him.
Yeah.
I expected this reaction, but don't worry, Thomas. I'm going to win you back with number 3. I'm going to win you back, you specifically, because I got the OG vigilante at my number 3. He's a scientist. He's a detective. He's a crime solver. He's a genius. He's a martial artist, and he's a superhero. Yes, I have Batman as my number 3 pick. So I had to. I know I won Thomas back. Not that I care because fuck you. But I didn't narrow it down to any specific Batman. I didn't narrow it down to an animated Batman or an Adam West or a Michael Keaton or a Christian Bale. Just the whole character. I think, you know, he's just one of the most fun superheroes to watch, you know, do his work. He's got some of the best villains, I would argue the best villains in all of superhero-ness.
Comics.
And yeah, so that's my number 3, Batman.
I know Griffin has a lot to say. I'm sure Matt has something to say. I do love Batman, so I do like this pick, Andrew. The reason I did not put him on mine is because I could not pick just one Batman, because there are plenty of Batman out there that I don't like as the protagonist, because there are a lot of storylines where, like Harry Potter, I find him kind of annoying. But there are more stories where he is a phenomenal protagonist, and I absolutely love Batman. So yeah, good list.
Yeah, definitely. Batman's got to be a great pick. I mean, I wore the Batman costume when I was in like 5th grade for 3 months straight because I just wanted to be Batman every day, which might be another
one that you
thing.
still
You know?
Same
Oh
costume.
yeah, it still fits.
It's the one he wore last week.
I feel like I know which one you're talking about, and we are in our late 20s. I think I've seen you wear it.
Oh yeah. And just shout out Lego Batman also. Like there's just so many universes where Batman is a fantastic, strong character. So
Oh yeah, I'd argue you could drop Batman into any other cinematic universe and he would fit right in.
and he's a
He'd be better
billionaire.
at
So what's
magic
not
than
to
Harry
love?
Potter.
He literally
You
won
think,
capitalism.
you think if we dropped Batman into like the Chronicles of Narnia, he would fit right in?
Kill it.
Yes.
He would kill it.
He may
Yes.
actually kill like those kids, yeah. Or he would take one of them under his wing and be like, "You're new Robin."
It's not Darth Vader I have on my list.
Okay. All right. I know the expectation is that Griffin and his overwhelming hatred of Batman, which is not a real thing, is gonna fucking shit on this pick. I'm not gonna do that because Batman almost made my list, and then I was like, no, it's gonna be hypocritical if you spend all this time talking about how he's a bat bitch and how he needs to get over his dead parents and he needs to fucking like go to therapy. Which, yeah, I
Jesus.
understand. A lot of us need to go to therapy. I get it. he especially needs to go to therapy. Like if I didn't have all of the issues I have with Batman and with like a lot of the portrayals of Batman, he would have made my list. Yeah, because he's one of the most famous, one of the most iconic protagonists in fiction. Do I think he's a little bit of a pussy? Yeah, I do. And I'm not going to take that back. I think there's healthier ways to deal with his shit. And also, straight up, 98% of my issue with Batman is that people like him better than Superman. And Superman is a better character. So be Superman fans. Don't be Batman fans. Get over Batman. He's just a guy who's rich and nuts. But, that's neither here nor there. And I don't want to turn it into Griffin's therapy session about Batman. So, good pick. Good pick.
I would argue that there's not many better therapeutic things than crime fighting because that helps you and them.
Well, I mean, not the way that he crime fights. Crippling guys trying to pay their rent, trying to take care of their kids, and he's like, "Oh, you fell off a bridge or something. Too bad you're in traction now."
It helps the people they were mugging, and then he pays their medical bills and like get a better life. You don't know what happens afterwards.
I imagine a lot of those people die. I imagine a lot of those gangsters die.
Hey, so what?
I'm gonna choose.
He doesn't kill, but he throws them off of like giant buildings and like.
He doesn't kill them. He just lets like medical maladies take care of that.
Yeah. I'm going to choose to just ignore everything Griffin said about therapy and instead focus on what Matt said, which is that also, he's a billionaire. And, I love billionaires. Number two.
Everyone knows that about you. Everyone knows that about you.
Number two on my list.
Jeff Bezos.
Is Jeff Bezos. No.
The protagonist of our lives.
Number two is a protagonist from a favorite show of mine, Michael Bluth. I think as far as, I wanted to get one comedy character on here. And Michael Bluth to me is a good protagonist because he plays the perfect straight man surrounded by chaos and just has a great dynamic with all of the other more outlandish characters on the show. And I think he's an interesting straight man because he still, even though he like kind of acts as the normal one, he still sometimes does things that are stupid or just as bad as what his siblings do or whatever. So like he almost like thinks he's better than he actually is. Like he does have this holier than thou attitude that sometimes he slips and does the wrong thing, which I think provides another element to the character. So yeah, Michael Bluth, number two.
Yeah, I got a little upset because I had Michael Bluth on my list as well. But great character. I agree with that, like with Marta and Job. And then you see a lot of that with George Michael. He makes a lot of mistakes. But I think next to John Krasinski as Jim in The Office, he's definitely the best straight man on TV. Great character. Also, Arrested Development, fantastic show, seasons 1 through 3. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Other ones,
cycle through the first 3 seasons.
As a big fan of the show, I agree. And I do like that you mentioned, like, he is also kind of, he's often as bad as everyone else in the family. But, as a main character, he is also a great lens into the story. And also, like, it's a good pick. I like it because he gives you the straight man while also being the as fucked up as everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't have that much to offer. I don't look. I wish I could say that I was an Arrested Development guy. I've watched the first season. I didn't love it that much. I think it's fairly well known that I'm not a huge Arrested Development guy. I've tried to give it a few different shots, didn't work out. He's a good straight man, and I think there's definitely something to the point that he thinks he's a better character than he is, and I think a lot of us probably connect with that on a fairly fundamental level. But I can't say if it's a good or a bad pick because I don't know enough about it as a pick. I mean, it's a great ensemble comedy from what I know about it. So Griffin, I don't know if he stays the protagonist or what.
Griffin, you not having a lot to say is never a bad thing. It rarely happens. Yeah. So I appreciate your short comment. And you know what? I may have lost you with Michael Bluth. I may have lost you with Batman, but I'm going to win you back, Griffin. I'm going to win you back with my number one. In fact, I'm going to win everyone back with my number one because my number one pick is
Donald Trump.
Oh no!
My number one pick is
I'd be on board. I would vote for him.
Shut the fuck up. It's the underdog of all underdogs, rags to riches, a guy who
50 Cent
can roll with the punches like no one else. He can take a punch literally like no one else. Thomas mentioned him earlier, Rocky. I mean,
Ooh.
what is there to say about this guy? He went the distance with Apollo Creed, and then he beat him. He beat Clubber Lang. He beats Ivan Drago. He goes the distance with Mason the Dixon Line. I just skipped right over Rocky 5 because I don't want to touch on that.
You're better off. Yeah, better off.
Yeah, and then he becomes a mentor for
cancer.
He beats cancer, and then becomes a mentor for Adonis Creed. So like, it's just, I mean, and you know, knowing Sylvester Stallone, they'll probably be Rocky movies for another 50 years. So you know, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully the story doesn't end anytime soon. But
actually, funny you say that, but you know, not. But in the next one, not so much.
Yeah, well,
he's going to be coming to an end very soon, from what I hear.
Gotcha.
What a great pick! Great pick. Love Rocky.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say about this pick is, I feel like kind of the way that list night started on Facebook 10 years ago was us arguing about the order of the Rocky movies. Yeah, this was I love doing protagonists because I don't have to pick a movie. I could just say Rocky Balboa, the character.
Yeah.
I mean, not other than him being a kind of shit dad to his actual son, kind of like Michael Bluth. Can't say a bad thing about Rocky. So other than Rocky 5, but yeah, I fully support this one.
It's like the live action Little Mac.
Yeah, really, the only big knock.
Poor Little Mac.
the biggest knock against Rocky is that he did choose to participate in Rocky 5, and that he let that documentary film crew follow him around for the entirety of that movie.
Yeah, he's not fictional.
As a real life protagonist, I too love Rocky Balboa. Can't say a bad word about it. I think his issues with his son are his son's fault, so you're certainly not going to get any agreement with me there.
Just like with our future children, when we throw all the problems at them.
Yeah, and probably with me. But again, neither here nor there. Great pick. Pretty much everyone in those movies got cool names. Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, really just those two guys. Clubber Lang, great names. Ivan Drago. Everyone he surrounds himself with has a very cool name. That's the mark of a cool guy. It's the mark of a good protagonist. Harry Potter, dumb name.
He's got a friend named Paulie.
I mean, I'd argue there's a lot of cool names that Harry Potter surrounds himself around. Whatever.
Like Cho Chang?
Ron.
All right, here's my
Hermione.
Here's my recap for the winning list. Number 5 is Shrek, the ogre. Number 4 is Harry Potter. Number 3 is the wizard. Number 3 is Batman / Bruce Wayne. Number 2 is Michael Bluth, and number 1 is Rocky Balboa.
Wait, Bruce Wayne is Batman?
Is that technically 6 picks?
Because he said Bruce Wayne and Batman.
All right, forget I said Bruce Wayne.
Fuck Bruce Wayne. It's a list, and I do want to say, coming off of that one, Matt, this is something that your first time on list night, you have to tell us ahead of time and at the end that it's a great list. Otherwise, people won't know it's a great list. So just make sure you specify how awesome your list is, because we do it every week and we never stop.
I'm pretty sure at the end of my list I said this is not a great list.
Did you not? Okay. All right. Well, last week I think I said mine was pretty bad too.
Yeah. If we were going like 5 great protagonists, Andrew has 4, and I'd be all for the list. But if we're going protagonists, and that's it, just protagonists, I mean, I think mine is also just not as good either. So
also, Matt, I think you said you had Michael Bluth on your list. Don't feel like you have to take it. If you want to take it off and substitute it out, if you think that gives you a better chance of winning. I
had a starters and a bench lineup. I could switch it up.
I gotta say, before you continue, Thomas just said be a Griffin. I have not substituted somebody from one of my lists since week 4. Once it was very adamant that we were fine with repeating picks, like we just did with Shrek. I'm fine with repeating picks. Okay, it's not a draft. If he's on your list, feel free to leave him. If you think that he is a bona fide top 5 protagonist, leave him on there. If you have someone that is tied for a spot with him, switch him out. But fuck Thomas.
I'm I'm glad you've grown since the first episodes, and you've realized that. Much like
Right,
all of my
I have like
characters,
10
you've
wins now.
grown. Except DK, he hasn't grown because he's perfect. That's why he's a great protagonist. All right, Matt.
Exactly. I'm gonna request a quick ad break so I can go pee.
List night, while not pleased with Matt's small bladder, were accommodating to their guest.
All right, Matt.
I mean, well,
you
if
know,
you guys are ready, if you guys are ready for the winning list, I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, first time on the show, so I figure I'd get the dub.
No.
With
pretty embarrassed if you do. Going to be pretty embarrassed for the rest of us if you do.
with number
Wait.
five,
Are
I'm gonna
people
have to go
allowed-
with.
I didn't know people were allowed to vote for guests.
Oh, they are 100% going to vote. For I might take myself
thought
out
it
of
was
the
still
running.
just
and
gonna be-
just leave Matt
Why
in.
would I do this?
I thought
Yeah,
you
people-
were just here to say my list was good.
No, people are arguing about him. They're gonna be like anyone else. Thank God.
This is a name we haven't seen before. Vote, and it's going to be like, all right, so 6 for Matt and 0 for the other guys. That's our votes for the week.
Let's do it. Let's try to get
Do it.
that to 8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first pick, I'm gonna have to go with the man SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, instrumental to my childhood, but also a great life protagonist. The man works at a fast food restaurant and can afford a mortgage on a house under the sea. He's a responsible pet owner. I mean, he's a fantastic neighbor. His best friend lives right next to him under a rock. He does karate, which I love karate. I mean, and he's just, he gets into so many kooky, wacky adventures. I feel like that's something that everyone wants to do in life. And, a house would be nice and a mortgage would be nice.
So
Maybe maybe it's because I want to buy a house.
yeah, so I love SpongeBob, but I feel like your only good point was that you like karate and he likes karate because you said he affords a mortgage working at a fast food place, but I feel like he gets paid like shit. Like there's even an episode where it alludes to the fact that he pays Mr. Krabs for him to work there. And
Point, I think he's good with money, so he's able to be charitable with his paycheck like that with Mr. Krabs.
You also said he's a responsible pet owner. I recall an episode where he stuffs Gary into his alarm clock to stop it from going off because he forgot how to do everything in the Pickles episode. So
is this going to turn into a deep cuts from SpongeBob podcast?
Yeah, let's go an hour on SpongeBob.
Let's go down the list.
I was going through Matt's points and I was like, how can I counteract all of these? And I don't have deep cuts like that. So I was like, I know he's a bad pet owner. So I'm glad Andrew brought up a specific instance. And to say he's a good neighbor because his best friend lives under a rock next door.
I would argue that probably makes him a bad neighbor.
Wait, yeah, actually, that's the best point of all. If you want to ask whether he's a bad neighbor, you should ask the guy who literally lives next door to him, not the guy who lives 2 doors down, the guy who lives next door. Squidward fucking hates him.
And I don't know the ins and outs of living.
Some people show their love in different ways, Andrew.
But I can't imagine you actually have to have a mortgage for a pineapple under the sea. I feel like it's just there.
I also don't feel like having a mortgage, being able to pay a mortgage makes you a protagonist. Like there's like probably 2 billion people that pay mortgages. But that's not my primary point. My primary objection to this being your number 5 pick is I don't believe for 1 second that SpongeBob is not your favorite protagonist. And in your opinion, the best protagonist. I cannot see, knowing you, I just can't physically see there being 4 people ahead of SpongeBob SquarePants on your list of protagonists. Unless
I can think of one right now.
It could have been, very easy for me to just make this an anime thing, so I didn't do that. So I went, we branch out beyond that. Just a lot of anime protagonists. Yeah.
Don't need our viewers texting me asking who every one of your picks is.
I figured I'd go a little more mainstream. That's a little niche thing. Well, I think that SpongeBob was a great pick, but I figure let's steer the direction to my number 4 pick. This is something.
No, we know you think it's a great pick. We just all don't.
So I think
I think it's a pick.
So I think I might get.
I think you're being dishonest, but it's a pick. I think you're lying to yourself more than you're lying to the listeners. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, I'm a big SpongeBob guy, Griffin.
I know.
That's what
That's my point. That's exactly my point. We agree.
And that's the truth.
Well, I would argue you're the biggest SpongeBob guy.
All right, number 4. So I guess I could get into some trouble here with the argument of what makes a protagonist, but I still think this character is incremental and will soon have his own series. It's from Star Wars, my personal favorite Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think Obi-Wan is the GOAT. He steers Luke into the right direction and kind of just like Hagrid welcomes Harry Potter into that new world, he kind of welcomes it into the world of being a Jedi and discovering his true self and his heritage. And just like in the prequels, Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan is the GOAT. In the Clone Wars series, he's awesome. He's just like killed General Grievous. He literally led all the Clone Wars. I think he's just a very underrated, but yet super cool Jedi. And I'm also just super pumped for the new series that's about to come out. I know Thomas was doing a little promotional stuff with his pick, so I figured I'd do the same. Disney Plus, maybe a stock owner. Don't know if that's a problem. Get that price pumping up.
I'm
going to be honest with you. I don't think Disney's going to sponsor this pod. I said some pretty hateful things about Disney pretty early on in the podcast.
I wouldn't say he's underrated. I have been waiting a long time, and by that I mean Andrew's list, for someone to say a protagonist who's not a protagonist. And here it is. He is not a protagonist. I agree. I'm sure he will be in his series. I know. Okay, he does have comics where he's a protagonist, but
I don't know if I fully agree with that.
The movies, he's not the protagonist.
He did raise Anakin
of Attack of the Clones, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. I think you could make the argument that he is a protagonist. It probably follows him about as much as it follows Anakin.
He has
an entire plot that he is driving.
No,
I don't even need to defend my own.
I would not argue that he is the protagonist of Star Wars, although really there at this point is not one. I don't know. I get the pushback on him being a protagonist. I think he meets the criteria enough when you consider books and comics and the cartoons and all that he probably gets there.
I love it. I love having someone on the pod who's also pushing the line of what's actually part of the list that we're talking about. So
I love that someone made a Star Wars pick that wasn't me.
I hope you cheat way more.
Make a Star Wars pick. Come on.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
So
exactly.
I don't think you're cheating.
Griffin, you make a good pick. You make a good point. Like, there's definitely a stronger argument for him to be protagonist than I'd like there to be. I'm just tired of Star Wars myself, and I find this to be a boring pick. I like Obi-Wan. I do. I find this to be a boring pick. Matt, after all the things you said about my pick, I wanted to like all your list, but
yeah, what the fuck, Thomas? Even Vino objects to that.
Yeah, Vino's pissed.
No. Griffin's audio is delayed. He just heard your first pick, and he's saying, "Nah, it's dumb."
He knows I was lying to myself about something. All right. Well, I just personally so stoked for the series. Love me some Obi-Wan. I'm gonna go to my number 3 protagonist pick, and similar thing. It's a cartoon protagonist, another Nickelodeon show. I'm gonna go with the Avatar, Aang.
I knew this one was coming somewhere.
Kind of sexist to not pick Korra.
Yeah, a little sexist not to pick Korra.
Well,
a little bit
isn't
sexist.
it also, it's kind of picking Korra because I'm picking all the avatars in a way, but I'm going to choose specifically the
don't be pushing that. Don't Andrew it.
I'll say I'm doing the reincarnation of Aang specifically. One of my favorite shows of all time. So instead of Obi-Wan, I was thinking of maybe going Iroh too, because I love Uncle Iroh. But I just think Aang, like, first of all, his skills themselves, he mastered all 4 elements in less than a year. He's like an extreme badass that almost took out Ozai himself without even needing to go in the Avatar state. All the things that he did in the Avatar state, which are extremely badass. And he's just also such a great character. He's a really emotional character. He's a vulnerable character, which like in a male protagonist is something that you don't always see, which is something that's nice to see too. And yeah, he's like 12 years old and such a badass. Yeah, I just can't really go wrong. Big Aang fan. I think he's definitely worthy of being on the list. And also, he was raised by nomads, which I know we're all big like like nomad type
Commune.
commune type group here.
Are we big
so-
nomad?
Yeah, I didn't know that about us. I would argue
in.
that we've talked about having a commune.
I was thinking of the commune, but
in.
I figured we'd probably all raise everyone's kids in the commune, similar to like nomads.
And also
So
travel from like point to point.
Nomad travel.
I just don't
that way
feel
you
like
can have multiple fathers to disappoint.
I just
I
don't
feel
feel
like in
we should
modern
talk
America-
about the commune.
I feel like in modern America, if you travel from point to point, you're not a nomad. You're a drifter, and they are frowned upon.
Just when you talk about a commune without context, it sounds like Jonestown.
It's a sex thing. It's a culty sex thing.
thing.
Yeah, it's almost exclusively a sex thing for me.
I also love the show. It's a good pick. My issue with a pick like this, though, is because like he's obviously it's the last airbender. He's the last airbender. He's the main character. But there's really more than one main character. But I do like the pick because I do like the show. He's not my favorite character, but
I do agree with you, Thomas, but at the same point, right in the start of the show and even continues on, they still always look to Aang. And that's Griffin's that way for me. I do see that.
okay, well, Griffin's about to be like,
just say Obi-Wan's not the protagonist.
If you're listening to the audio pod, you'll have to know that I'm raising my hand right now. It feels like Thomas's objection to Aang is that he's too much of a protagonist, which is deeply confusing. He's the main character.
Yeah,
I said he's supposed to be the main character, but when you watch a show, there's really more than one main character.
Yeah, you can have
I said I like the
protagonist
pick.
and then parentheses S at the end of it.
yeah.
No, I do like the pick because I love the show.
I mean,
agree.
so next, in Arrested Development, could it be George Senior? Could it be Lucille?
Yes.
Could it be George Michael?
Yes.
Let's
agree-
not
I
just
agree that
attack this. Let's not put this all on my list. We could, distribute this to everyone else's list.
Yeah, Fiona be a protagonist, potentially. Could Monkey be a protagonist? Definitely. Don't be racist, guys.
I agree that this pick seems like it's right up Thomas's alley because he's a protagonist and also male. But
Look at your list.
yeah, no, you're right. But I didn't call that out.
There's not been a female protagonist yet.
We're all sexist. No, this is a good pick. I do wish that that in the early part of quarantine when you did a full rewatch of Avatar: The Last Airbender that I actually watched it with you through because it's a good show, good pick. That's all.
Was this the first of his rewatches that year or the third?
I'm sure I was
Matt's
knocking on the couch multiple
TV
times
watching
while this
habits
went
are
on.
deeply insane.
I'm a TV appreciator. Love me some TV.
Yeah.
And now with my second pick, not to pander, just to show that I'm not sexist, but also I was late to the game discovering this very, very popular franchise. But I'm going to have to say, even though I don't always like the cold, got to go Elsa from Frozen as one of the top protagonists for my number 2 pick. Not only is she a stone cold fox, I'm going to, steer away from this for a bit because Griffin, knows that I like animated women. But besides that, she's just got so much power. She literally can build like a castle while singing an amazing song at the same time. It's just she doesn't have to go to an office job. What more can I say about her? She's just fantastic. And literally Frozen is, I would argue, named after her because Anna is not very magical, powerly like. And also the second one's great too. I thought she killed it with the follow-up song. So I'm going to go Elsa, number 2, Frozen.
Wow. Yeah. Pretty good pick. It is kind of weird that I feel like we're becoming a Frozen podcast. This is probably at least the third time that Frozen's come up, and every time very specifically how hot Elsa is. Every single time.
We can't. What are we going to do? Not comment on it? Come on.
It's the elephant in the room.
It is 100% the elephant in the room.
The ice elephant. Andrew, I was going back to the notes. I was like, I know there's one where I edited a picture of me and Elsa standing together, and it was for the worlds we'd want to live in, and it was.
And you were
Frozen.
Popping the butt out in that one. There was a lot of sexual tension in that picture.
No,
I do think so myself.
I never would have guessed this one for you, Matt. When you started talking, I was trying to guess, and You had me, but
Changed man.
I can't call it a bad pick. It does seem very high on a list, but I can't necessarily like it's bad.
So knowing your recent obsession with Frozen, I actually was not hugely surprised to see this one on your list, especially when you started talking about it. I guess again, and this I defended this in the other direction, so now I kind of have to like be okay with it. I mean, I would say she's probably more of a protagonist in Frozen 2. In Frozen 1, I think Anna's probably more of the actual protagonist, and Elsa, while being obviously the more interesting character, definitely doesn't have the majority of screen time and is kind of like, to an extent, she's like an event occurring to the characters rather than a character herself. And obviously she becomes a more fully rounded character at the end of it. But the rest of the time she's kind of like
Plot device.
She's a little bit of a plot device. She's the thing pushing everything forward. But you know, I do also get the argument for her being a protagonist, especially when you take Frozen 2 into consideration, because she drives that one a lot more, and you follow her for a lot more of it. So yeah, good pick, hot pick. I'm not going to say a bad word about her. Not gonna pretend. You know, Disney knows what they're doing. They know what they're doing a little bit too well. Just kind of surprised you didn't say Nala.
Yes, they say
Simba almost made my list.
It's great, good pick.
Yeah,
Simba
that would have been a good pick.
Yeah.
Animal would have been a good, yeah. Well, DK is the number one pick. Sticking with the animal theme.
Robin Hood,
Well,
Fox.
Not animals, but insects. I think that just gave away easily what my number one pick is.
No, it didn't.
Oh.
So this man taught me with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh no.
He had an uncle that died.
Oh, okay.
But I thought you were going
Insects.
straight from
And I was like from like a
From
bug
Bug's
life? Yeah, exactly. A bug life or ants.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
those
I
are the
was
two
thinking
options that we've got here.
I think it's pretty obvious now, but I don't have to go with
Uncle
Peter
Ben.
Parker Spider-Man. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought
Shit.
you
Oh,
were
I thought.
Mothman.
Well, also Marissa Tomei is Aunt May. Is
Love
actually
that
my number
rice.
one pick. No,
Yeah,
but
Aunt
I
Bay.
mean, Spider-Man, along with Batman, and basically since like the first with Tobey Maguire series came out, kind of took over as like my favorite superhero. I was really into the comics as a kid. I think he, like Batman too, I'd say they're probably in the top of using like Marvel villains and have the most interesting villains. It really, Spider-Man, you could argue, was the movie that turned superhero movies into more serious movies. I enjoy all three Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. I am looking forward to the new movie coming out, and everything that he's been in has been fantastic. And then Into the Spider-Verse, I thought was maybe my favorite animated movie of all time. And just like not even movies alone, but just the stories himself. He's a cool character. Literally it's like super genius that can also has just like really sick powers, super strength. He can climb on walls, just like, I mean, Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy also can bag it. But, you know, Peter Parker. And actually, yeah, well, because I was just going to say Into the Spider-Verse is more Miles Morales, but Peter B. Parker is one of my favorite characters from that movie as well. So I'm just going to say Spider-Man, number one pick, top protagonist.
Fair.
Definitely S tier.
It's a good pick.
It's a good pick. I'll take Griffin's approach and say, hey, your uncle died, get over it. But no, good pick. Love Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you like not become a superhero unless people die?
Yes.
I mean,
You need
Accurate.
trauma.
Someone needs to die.
And to be a Pixar character, I think you also have to have like an estranged parent or a dead parent. It's just, and Disney also a lot of dead parents.
it makes for
Trauma
good stories.
is good for fiction.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Orphans and trauma.
I will say, I don't know, kind of I don't know, Andrew pick here. There's a lot of different Spider-Men out there, but you know, because I thought you were just going Peter Parker, and
Can
then
we
you brought in the other
please stop
ones.
using the phrase Andrew or Andrewing to describe cheating or stretching the
I
boundaries?
no longer use the term loophole. I just use Andrew.
I guess. I mean, Loophole's fine. That loophole is finding a clever way to stay within the rules. So I'll own that for a little bit.
Thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. I like this pick though. Like Spider-Man. It's a good pick. I don't know why I didn't think that this might be on your list. I feel like you've always been a big Spider-Man guy as long as we've known you. So
too long.
Yeah. Good number one.
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. I to be honest, I didn't think about what you guys would pick. I never do. I don't give a shit. But when you said insect, I really was thinking Bugs Life.
Yeah.
Also a great movie. Also a fantastic movie.
All right, fair enough. What's your recap?
So to recap, number 5, SpongeBob SquarePants for the winning list. Number 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Number 3, Aang, The Last Airbender. Number 2, Elsa from Frozen. And number 1, Spider-Man.
It's weird you didn't pick Spider-Woman.
I think that was a good list for our first
guest.
Guest 4-person podcast, and all I got to say is you better not fucking win, Matt, because I will.
I think that there is a decent chance that, especially between that SpongeBob and the Spider-Man pick, that I think he's going to get some votes.
I think I'm in laps right now.
A great showing for your first time on the pod, and we knew there would be, long time List Night contributor, one of the OG List Night participants from back in the Facebook days. If anybody understands the list, it's Matt Ferentinos.
And bullying, that's what we do on List Night.
All right, we're gonna leave that one out later,
including in List Night.
Yeah. Let's be a little bit more specific about it. Just bringing people on board, changing hearts and changing hearts and minds. All right. I think my list could really go in either direction, and you guys could either like it a lot or you could mock a lot of my picks. I don't know. I also think I could get a lot of votes, or it could fucking crash and burn, which is kind of what I'm expecting. And I hadn't even realized.
I'll say this
until you guys were going through it. Go ahead.
If it's not a week where I win, I don't care about the votes.
Sure.
So you can have this.
Okay. All right. I hadn't realized it until you guys were going through yours. I don't have any Star Wars, and I don't have any comic characters, which is pretty surprising considering those are kind of like my two big lanes.
With the Star Wars,
I have a whole lot of. Go ahead.
If you're going to tell me that 2 people in this podcast were going to pick superheroes, I would have guessed Griffin and myself first.
Yep.
With Matt
I would not
third.
have picked Matt third. I would not have picked Andrew. Wouldn't have done it. Wouldn't have happened.
I'm not surprised by it, but he's just
keeping it fresh.
He's a different kind of nerd. Keeping it fresh.
What the kids like.
Yeah, I'm going for deep cuts. Deep cuts like Batman, a very under the radar pick that nobody really knows about.
And Rocky.
Yeah. Not as mainstream as you get.
That might be the criteria this week. That might win it for you. But we've talked enough really about your picks. Let's talk about my picks for a little bit. Number 5 on my list, and I have a lot of feelings about it. Number 5 on my list is Donald Glover / Childish Gambino.
He's mastermind.
Anything? Yeah. Fucking bitch fast time.
Elaborate.
I saw Andrew choke a little bit on his words, so I wanted to give him an opportunity. I think, and this is going to come up a little bit on my list, I don't think necessarily you need to be a fictional character to be a protagonist. And I think if you guys are to Google the word protagonist, you will discover that is in fact true. You do not need to be a fictional character, as I see you literally Googling at this very moment. I think
the leading character or one of the main characters in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text.
Look under it. The main figure or one of the most prominent figures in a real situation, and below that, an advocate or champion of a particular cause. Right? It doesn't matter.
What situation are you talking about? Life? Like anyone could
Donald-
be.
The music industry, the film industry, the comedy industry, the modeling industry. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a model, he's a rapper, he's a singer, he's a producer, he's a director. This guy can do anything. And I think as it relates to real life and you know, everyone that is around him, I think if you were to walk into a room or even just hear a story about Donald Glover, you'd be like, that's the main character. That's the dude that is like doing everything right now. If we're all in a simulation and there is a main character to that simulation, Donald Glover's that guy. He's the only one that can level up.
The first thing that he's in that comes to mind, he's not the main character. They even do an episode where they're in a simulation and he's not the main character.
Derek Comedy was the first thing he was in.
He said first thing that comes to mind.
I said the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. Yeah.
I absolutely love Donald Glover, so I get it. I think you're wrong. I think it's actually Ryan Seacrest who is running everying, and if anyone's going to level up, going to be Ryan Seacrest.
Also a good choice.
But no,
probably a better choice 10 years ago.
I love Donald Glover, so I get it, and everything you're saying is mostly correct, but I just don't agree that a protagonist could be real, because then I should be the protagonist of my own life, and DK is, and that's weird for me.
Let me say real quick. There was a really strong possibility for a while that I was going to put my own name on this list.
Yep.
I wrote it and deleted it and wrote it and deleted it, and it was in every top 5 pick at different points. And I finally was like, "Don't do it, Griffin. You don't even truly believe this."
I still think you might do it. It might slip back in there.
To do it would
number one
probably
for
actually
sure.
be, it'd actually probably be like a pretty healthy thing for you to put on the list. And if we were good friends, we'd be like, "You're right, Griffin." But you know we are not good friends, and we wouldn't say that.
And I
So
don't
I'm
have
glad you
control of
do
my
it,
life to that
because
degree.
you would be too hurt.
Well, the thing is, I actually, to your point, Thomas, and to your point, Griffin, I can see the argument for you being the protagonist in your own life. I would say that you are. The problem is that our lives are not very interesting. So it
Not
doesn't
a
make
good
for
protagonist.
doesn't make for a good story.
So I would make Thomas's list of protagonists.
You're misunderstanding me.
I have
I-
good stories.
I do also think people can be protagonists. I did almost have Tony Romo on my list for a while. And I
Of course you did.
Thank
Of
God you
course.
did.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, so,
God you did it.
you know, I'm not going to give my list of reasons why I think he should be on my list that didn't make it, but I do think that people would qualify, because Donald Glover too.
Matt,
Like,
I assume they're almost primarily sexual reasons for you.
I was gonna say Donald Glover, Tony Romo. At what point are we just talking about man crushes? We could do that list.
Right?
We could do that list, and Matt, you can come on and we'll do that list.
We will.
That's
We
a-
will.
that's
We
a-
also have
that's
to
a
do
separate
animated
list.
crushes. Matt's also going to be on the
Yes.
animated crushes list.
I don't think because I'm not the host of the Zoom meeting, I don't think I can kick you out. But if you had picked Tony Romo, I would have found a way to kick you out.
If you had Tony Romo, I would have argued strongly against it, and I would have deleted Donald Glover / Childish Gambino from my list and typed something else in.
Dak Prescott. You would have put Dak Prescott.
Okay, back to
Jerry
Donald
Jones.
Glover. I want to shit on this because I why wouldn't I? But I do love Donald Glover, and he is definitely the protagonist in his own story, and yeah, probably many others. So I get it. Dumb list though.
Sure.
He's not animated, so how could he be on your list?
He's animated in at least one Community episode, so he's
And he's in
also
Star-
a voice in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And he's in a Star Wars movie.
All right, I get it. He's animated.
He is in a Star Wars movie. Thanks, Matt.
Lando
I
Calrissian,
got my
yeah.
comic book guy and my Star Wars guy. It's all the same guy. It's Donald Glover. Hell yeah. Oh, good shit. Thank you, Matt. I'm Thomas. You're off the pot. Andrew, actually, Thomas, you're still off the pot. Andrew, you're off the pot. Matt, you're gonna be our cheating guy going forward.
Loophole.
Finally.
Loophole.
We're
All
gonna
right.
call you Andrew.
Number 4 on my list, and this one I gotta give a big shout out to my mom, because she is fully the reason that I am aware of this woman and fucking adore her comedy.
I support
Lucy
shout-outs to
Ricardo.
Cindy.
Lucy Ricardo from I Love Lucy. And, you know, because it is also partially based off her real life to an extent. Got to give shouts to Lucille Ball for being one of the baddest women in comedy and entertainment for literal decades. But really, Lucy Ricardo, one of the defining faces in comedy, one of the funniest comedians alive, male or female. Her show ran for, I don't even know how long, but a long fucking time. And like, there were good side characters in it, and really it's an ensemble cast, and it's made up of a lot of really talented comedians, but it's in the name. I Love Lucy. She's the driving force on that show. Can't say enough good things about her. Still watch that show when I'm over at my mom's house. Used to have every season on DVD when we were kids, or not DVD, on VHS. Used to watch them all the time. Honestly, genuinely an important like comedian and woman in my life growing up. Great protagonist. Great physical comedy. As a guy that loves physical comedy, the queen of it.
6 seasons.
6 seasons? Yeah. And then a couple movies, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Nice. I have to admit, not the most familiar with I Love Lucy. I thought the bit in Rat Race with the I Love Lucy tour bus was hilarious. But that's about all I know. and you know, various pop culture clips, I guess. I would do terrible at a tribute.
It's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
I do have Hulu.
You would love it. I swear you would love it.
And I love, if Cindy Queen loves it, then I think I would like it too. So I might check it out.
Okay.
She's got good taste. That's all I got to say.
Is that the same Rat Race that is in the Rat Race Just Friends universe?
Just Friends,
or?
yeah.
That's
the
Rat Race. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about this or thought any of you would, but yeah, I do like that pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, she's
No
a
bad
legend.
words.
The character is a legend, and the woman is a legend in the comedy industry. I thought I was the guy to appeal to the boomer vote, but it's clearly you this week. So I think you're going to pick up a couple extra votes, meaning my dad and your mom, by putting Lucille Ball.
I will say, and I'm not as familiar with all 6 seasons or anything. Does she have a lot of character growth? I feel like a protagonist
they have relationship growth, but it's not so much character. I mean, I guess
it's the type of show.
She becomes a more comprehensive character as it goes on. Like, they definitely kind of push the boundaries at the time of what they were doing with comedy. But no, she's largely the same person throughout.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure the episodes teach lessons. Like, most characters in shows like that, they grow through the side characters and the different stories going around them.
Yeah, and it's just like a lot of just comedic moments, just her being an actual insane person and being amazing at it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a show worth checking out.
Why change what ain't broken?
Yep.
America.
All right.
Favorite I Love Lucy quote.
It's not really a quote show.
Lucy.
Favorite episode though is her favorite scene is when she's stomping the grapes, and I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube. She's falling all over herself and she's getting just like super flustered and embarrassed. Top tier physical comedy, probably the thing that made me fall in love with physical comedy. But that's neither here nor there. Go watch I Love Lucy. Anybody watching or listening to the pod, you got the time. Hulu's free. Go watch I Love Lucy.
Hulu, our sponsor.
Well, they're competitors to Redbox, so actually rent it on Redbox. Potentially, if they have a streaming service, rent it on there. But definitely get it on. Free? There's the free option.
Yeah, there's that. They have the ad.
There's the commercial option.
Yeah.
Is that free?
Do
you still have to pay for that? Oh man, I don't pay for my Hulu, so I don't know. I use somebody else.
I think there's a free, and then there's an ads, and then there's a premium. So you could pay for like limited ads.
I want to say that.
Too complicated. Redbox is the way to go.
Yeah, Redbox is the way to go. All they have is physical media and potentially streaming media.
Do you love vending machines? Do you love movies?
Do you love going to 7-Eleven because they might have a Redbox? And yes, you do love going to 7-Eleven because how could you not? Number 3 on my list, again, kind of making a break from the guys here and keeping a woman on my list because I'm not sexist and I'm better than them. Buffy Summers from Buffy Vampire Slayer. Don't don't love the writer of Buffy, although I certainly did growing up. Although what I've
Joss Whedon?
It's Joss Whedon. Yeah. In recent years, it's kind of come to everyone's attention that he's an awful dude, but he did have one of the baddest female protagonists in media, probably, I don't know, maybe until like Game of Thrones. Like she was probably the defining like action hero badass on TV for a really long time. Sarah Michelle Gellar, absolute smoke show. One of my first celebrity crushes. Still celebrity crush. She's looking good. She's got to be in like her mid 40s at this point, but she's looking good. Just a badass bitch and a great protagonist, and definitely somebody that has a ton of character growth over the course of this show. She's been through the fucking ringer. She's died a couple times. She's basically a Dragon Ball Z character in terms of how often they bring her back. One of my favorite shows as a kid, and an endlessly rewatchable show if you're into that kind of, week by week action thriller. Love me some Buffy. Love me some Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Can't disagree with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Can't really disagree with Buffy. I definitely have not seen it all the way through. Not even close. But I understand what she represents in terms of badass female characters. I feel like you disrespected Xena by saying,
you're right.
Like
Xena, good choice. Yeah.
But no, I not a pick I would make just because I don't have a strong connection with Buffy, but I 100% get it.
Yeah, I mean, my dad would give a good opinion. He loves that show, but that's all I know about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is that my
tell him to tune in this week.
I mean, he likes good TV.
Tell him to make a Twitter account.
90 Day Fiance. I think he does follow me on Twitter. Actually,
I don't want his vote anymore.
Get that one viewer.
Let's talk about all the shows your dad watches.
Watch a little bit of Jeopardy, a little bit of Wheel. Gotta watch a little bit of Wheel.
I'm sure that'll make a good list night episode. Greg
Ferentinos moments.
TV shows.
Matt's dad or our parents' favorite TV shows.
Yeah, that's about it. Good.
I lost Matt a little bit. Yeah.
I think I just lost him. God, I know the.
But yeah,
Griffin, the recording voice.
Griffin, I feel like you're 0 for 3 on us being huge Buffy fans. I mean, I've seen it. I like it. I get the reasoning for picking it. But again, yeah, I've like Thomas, I haven't seen it all the way through and not like the biggest fan or anything. So
gotta be honest. I went into this thinking that you guys, I think I thought that Thomas had watched it. But I was not planning on really getting a whole lot of support from you guys on this one, but it was one of my favorite shows. Still is one of my favorite shows. And I genuinely think she's one of the baddest protagonists in fiction. So Buffy Summers. On to number 2. This is one you all know.
I don't want to have to do my own research. Is it on a streaming service? I'd like to watch it.
I think it's also on Hulu. I'm pretty sure.
So not Redbox.
I think Buffy. I'm pretty sure Buffy and Angel are both on Hulu. Gotcha. Angel, not as good. On to my number 2. This is one that you guys all know. It's one that you probably all love if you have any good taste. It's one that you know that I love for all the right reasons and the wrong ones. My number 2 protagonist, Disney's Hercules. What is there really to say about him? He's a demigod that can sing.
Specifically,
if I were to be attracted to a male animated character, it would be him. I also, at the same time, want to be him, which in my brain is kind of just how I express my attraction to men. If I see somebody that I want to be, I'm attracted to that person. It's not important. We don't need to dive into it. Basically, take all the stories you know about Hercules, add amazing singing talent, add an absolute smoke girl at the end. Megara, also on my list of animated crushes. And he's basically the total package. I mean, what do you really need to say about Hercules? Just go watch Hercules. It's only like 80 minutes. It's a religious experience.
Griffin, that was a great a bunch of anecdotes and great bullshit that you just spewed. Now, would you like to tell everyone why you actually love the movie so much?
I don't think it's important for us to dive into why I love Disney's Hercules so much. I also love it because it's my favorite movie. I watch it so much I broke the VHS as a kid.
Yeah, you watch it with your birthday suit all the time.
Uh,
All right.
okay.
Let's move on.
Yeah, the VHS just gets
I
stuck.
don't even think I need to hear you guys' arguments against this one. I think it's probably better if we just skip forward.
You made it clear because I was wondering. You do mean specifically the Disney animated Hercules.
Yeah. I don't care about that Greek god.
It's
Dude.
another one of your picks that doesn't like really excite me, but I do get it. So
Doesn't
Yeah, I
excite
love
you?
that movie.
Troubling.
I mean, I love the movie. I do love the movie. But I don't want to get excited for any of your picks because I just simply don't like you.
Me.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
thing I
you-
didn't put myself on the list.
Yeah.
Thomas took the words right out of my mouth. It's more like Griffin, fuck yourself because you keep fucking winning and I hate you.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. And honestly, if we were to do an antagonist list, I imagine there's a decent chance that I would make it on. And in some ways, that's love.
No, I was gonna say it'd be more hurtful if you didn't make our list because you want to feel important enough to us that you're on the list.
Well, if I didn't make your list, I would just think that you guys were being dishonest, and I would make sure that I talked about that while giving my list. I would also probably make my own list. Because what are you if you're not your own biggest enemy? Again,
Self-care.
this is my therapy session, and it's always going to be. Matt, welcome to the show. I wish we had like Ted Lasso on this pod or something. You could
So
really
now I
help.
get the text therapy and the video therapy. throughout
Yep.
the
Care
week.
2022.
You guys got anything else hurtful you want to say about Disney's Hercules? You want
No,
to just talk
give
about
us
how
your
great it is?
shitty number one.
Yeah, give us
your
the last
shitty
pick so we can
number
say
one.
something hurtful about that one.
Yeah, oh yeah, you think you're going to say something hurtful about my last pick, Andrew?
I hope
Okay.
it's
Just
something
about
I
you.
love so I can begin to hate it.
Let's see if Andrew says something hurtful about my last pick. You guys may recall a little bit earlier in the pod, a long time ago, I talked about a modern day protagonist that I'm a big fan of, and a guy that I think is a real world protagonist. I'm gonna throw it back a little bit. My number one pick, George Washington. I think if you were going to historically pick a protagonist from the past few hundred years, excuse me. Honestly,
Slave owner. Racist.
be that as it may. Like I was saying earlier, if we live in a simulation and there's a main character on like a generational basis or just like a main character in general, George Washington is that guy. Founder of our nation, war hero, first president of the U.S., one of the most important men, if not the most important man for world history of the past few hundred years. And also at the same time, one of the great figures in human history. And part of that's probably because we deify him a little bit. And like the slave ownership, we kind of brush certain problems with the guy under the rug because of how important he is to this country. And
Just like
therefore,
the currency that he's on. You don't need those quarters anymore.
yeah, but he's the guy that he's the prototypical like leader. He's the guy that set the standard. If you're talking about like his accomplishments, you really can't say anything bad about the guy.
Yeah, I agree. Like he has been deified to the point that he's at this point half to 3/4 fictional in the minds of most people, which like I don't
Might help my case.
I don't like it, to be fair, as much as I love George Washington, I don't love the idea of deifying any person, especially like a politician. However, something about it being over 200 years ago makes it more okay. Like it's like there's no harm in like deifying a person from that long ago. But yeah, it's like
Jesus.
it's interesting to think about the fact that like, you know, when the Constitution was formed, like we needed a president. Everyone's just like, oh well, like George Washington, duh, like he'll be the president.
Easy option.
And
Yeah.
it's just
there
like
was no debate about it.
right. Like even in a new country like that, you'd think there's someone to be like, no, like fuck that guy. Like, you know, like, but it was just like, apparently no, like he's just like unopposed. Like obviously he's the president, he's the leader, he's the general of the armies, like everything. So I get it. Like this is a real life person who I'm okay with you saying is a protagonist.
He's also
Andrew
pro-vaccination.
Andrew did a better job of convincing me than Griffin did.
I'll take that.
Yeah, fuck
'cause
you, Griffin.
He stopped smallpox at his own army. It's a fun fact. George Washington
That's
was
true.
a great leader.
I
Rallying
mean,
the
you
troops
guys
in the
just
cold.
keep on giving me reasons why he's a great protagonist.
I will say
Everything we've
though,
said so far,
Being a
great.
great leader doesn't make you a great protagonist.
and he did end his life prematurely based on very dumb medical decisions that he made.
Yeah, his fucking teeth.
Sure. Yes. Also,
Yeah.
again,
Some fucking
have to
teeth.
contextualize the time and the lack of medical knowledge as it related to a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that had more to do with the doctors back then. They were like, George sick, blood bad. Let's
Let's drill your head. Yeah.
You gotta get, I mean, I get that. You got to get the bad blood out. We've talked about this, over and over and over again. If you're sick, get the bad blood out.
Just something rubs me the wrong way about this pick.
Is it that I gave it?
Yeah.
That's probably it. That's probably it. It's probably that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's in a fight like between George Washington and let's say like a good protagonist like Donkey Kong.
I'd probably pick George Washington.
You pick
George Washington knows how to wield a gun.
Donkey
A
Kong.
musket.
Donkey Kong has a coconut.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
you
A
found
musket
fair.
would take like
Washington
forever.
Has an army at his
Oh.
disposal.
Let me-
Donkey
let me-
Kong has his stupid little dumb brother cousin. I don't know.
Chunky. He's got Lanky. He's got Tiny. He's got Dixie. He's got Cranky. Come on.
In total, you've named 6
son.
people.
One haymaker from Rocky, and both Donkey Kong and George Washington are knocked out.
Stop.
cold.
Stop.
You
No.
you believe that
No.
Rocky Balboa could knock out a gorilla?
You believe
Yes.
George Washington?
A man?
I think,
a man
guys,
who's-
I think we just
Real quick,
wrote the
real
next
quick.
Rocky movie.
a man whose entire
Available at Redbox in 2023.
a man whose entire fight strategy is basically the Homer Simpson, where you just take a lot of punishment and then give out a lot of punishment. You think he's
Tire
gonna
the
be
other
able to
guy
just,
out.
Yeah, you're gonna tire out the gorilla. It's gonna rip his face off.
After
And then George Washington and
George
his tons
Washington.
of thousands of soldiers are gonna shoot him to death.
Coconut
Even if a
gun,
lot of
coconut
them miss,
popos.
there's a lot of guns.
Coconut gun shoot. So
Let me
much
give my
faster than
recap.
muskets.
Let me give my recap so we can close this one out for the day. Number 5 on my list, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, because they are the same person. No real need to differentiate between the two of them. Number 4 on my list, Lucy Ricardo. I am going to differentiate Lucy Ricardo, not Lucille Ball. Number 3 on my list, Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Number 2, specifically Disney's Hercules. And number 1, the founder of our great nation, our OK nation, George Washington.
I was like, so when you were saying like he's such an important part, I was like, can I just blame him then for everything?
Yes. Which
Okay.
is also something that you can do with protagonists, like Harry Potter. Harry, stop fucking shit up all the time. Danky Kang, stop fucking shit up all the time.
Not his name.
Danky
Disrespectful.
Kang.
Disrespectful.
Danky
Disrespectful.
Kang.
Disrespectful.
That sounds like a strain of some nice danky cane that you get out there in California, Griffin.
Okay. It probably is. It probably is. I can't really disagree with you. I'm sure it probably is.
If anyone can find this shirt, but with Donkey Kong characters, I'd pay for it.
Yeah, if you're watching the video pod right now, make sure you reach out to Tom. Because the whole point of this pod for all of us is to not make money, but to instead spend money. So if we ever come out with merch, I'm sure we'll just buy it for people instead of selling it to people because we're
Big
dumb.
spender.
100%.
Yeah, Matt, would you wear merch? Would you wear some
Of
list night
course.
merch?
Of course. Is the
Yeah,
Pope
you don't-
Catholic?
I don't know.
I assume he
I
has.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the
yes.
guy to ask that question. Yeah, another episode in the books. Matt, thank you again for joining us today. Actually, I say thank you again. This is probably the first time that I'm thanking you for joining us today. But thank you for taking the time for joining us today. Make sure you tell all your friends, all the people that you do karate with, Spongebob Squarepants, that you were on this episode. Thanks for being here. Andrew, Thomas, as always, thanks for being on the pod. I look forward to seeing if Matt crushes us in the votes this week. I have a feeling that he might. Any closing
Spider-Man.
thoughts?
No, thanks for
Andrew's gonna
having me.
win.
Glad to be here. I'll be back for all the animated lists.
Yeah,
Or just
we'll
all
have
of
you.
them.
Yep. We'll definitely have you on the animated crushes list, and I'm sure there's some other animated lists we can throw you on. Like I said before, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click that like button. Make sure you click the subscribe button. If you're listening on a Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything like that, and you haven't done it yet, click that follow button. And we'll see you guys next time.